What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about it. And I'm doing this video because I want to share a recent interaction and telephone call that I will share with everyone with the Assistant Deputy Attorney General, Kate Wood. Miss Wood's role in the Attorney General's office is that she oversees the court services, and she makes sure that court administrators are competent and that they follow the rules and the laws and they treat the public fairly. Well, a handful of court administrators at the Kitchener-Waterloo courthouse have been engaging in major misconduct. They've demonstrated they're incompetent. They are demonstrating that they do not abide by the rules and laws they are sworn to uphold under the authority of Doug Downey, the Ontario Attorney General, and Sean Fraser, the Minister of Justice. I have compelling evidence that these court administrators engaged in major misconduct and there should be a proper investigation. Kate Wood job, her role with the Attorney General is to make sure that people like these people I filed a complaint against do not do what they have done. But Kate Wood did absolutely nothing. And in this video, I'm gonna break down my whole interaction dealing with her over like a 6-week, 8-week period. There's a phone call that I'm going to share with everyone. And essentially, this woman did nothing. Katie Wood, as the Assistant Deputy Attorney General, just received a $120,000 raise, which is a 61% increase into her pay. In 2024, she was earning $200,000 a year. As of 2025, she is earning $325,000 a year. Coincidentally enough, that's the same amount of fraudulent money that my ex, Jon David Ekpenyong, submitted to the Kitchener-Waterloo courthouse. That Justice Ian Smith, Justice Michael Gibson, Justice John Kurchenko, these judges, they entertained all this fraudulent court costs, knowing that this lawyer did not, and my ex did not pay a fraction of that money. The corruption that I witnessed in the Kitchener-Waterloo courthouse, it's definitely in the public's best interest that I share my experience and that there needs to be a proper investigation of that courthouse. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars allocated to these court services, and these judges are engaging in major judicial abuse. They're engaging in major judicial misconduct. The Canadian Judicial Council just released their 2025 annual report, and I believe they dismissed 980 complaints and gave 7 warnings. So again, they've dismissed 100% of complaints, just like they did in their 2024 annual report. So it's just been it's been a fucking living nightmare dealing with this courthouse and the abuse that these people have gotten away with. And they won't surrender. They will not back down. They will not admit they made a mistake. But what I dealt with Katie Wood, the Assistant Deputy Attorney General, just put the nail in the coffin of how much corruption is running wild in the Attorney General's office. Okay? I filed a complaint on February 26, 2026 against Carrie Rice, Salone French, Nancy Straczynski, Ingrid, and even Sarah Scott. Okay? These people collectively accepted several unsigned or uncommissioned affidavits and applications submitted by Jon David Ekpenyong. Ekpenyong threw a vexatious litigant application at my doorstep, which is not proper service under the Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 16.35AB. You have to hand it to an adult. These court administrators don't know what they're doing. I got dragged through family court on a restraining order application that was commissioned and never signed. And when I brought it up to Justice Gibson, who forced me to go to a trial, he said, we're here now, we're going to deal with it. And then you got Salone French, who went ahead and scheduled the trial without the trial schedule endorsement form ever being filled out, served, and filed. Justice Martha Ann Tweedy thought she was slick in November 2023, filled out Ekpenyong's second rejected trial schedule endorsement form, but Ekpenyong never filed it. When I went to go to the audio recordings of that proceeding, that conference, Justice Tweedy denied my request. When I spent $300 on transcripts, she thought she was sneaky and blocked out 2 pages of transcripts. When I had those transcripts uncovered, she admitted that there were major constitutional issues with this court proceeding. She acknowledged I should never constitutionally ever been in family court, yet she put this meritless case to a trial where Canada's only judge sitting in the Superior Court with his judicial training from the Canadian Armed Forces destroyed my fucking finances, destroyed my reputation. He lied left, right, and center on his endorsement. He referenced a bunch of cases on his endorsement that had nothing to do with my case. No, there was no relation. I was never married. I never had children. I never lived with my ex. No domestic violence, no police history. She even submitted a police report admitting it for a short period of time I was renting her basement, paying rent, where I moved in one day after her tenant moved out. Katrina Bornerick and her mother, Kim Bornerick, paid $1,400 a month e-transfer to my ex. She also submitted a landlord-tenant eviction application. Justice Gibson seen these things and he just did not give a shit because there were already notes pre-written about me, would be my guess, the way he dealt with that case. And Sarah Scott, another operations manager, along with Carrie Rice, allowed all these things to happen under their authority. These court admins and operation managers accepted several affidavits and applications that were either not signed by Ekpenyong's client or were not commissioned. They scheduled motions and trials without confirmations or proper forms ever filed. Ekpenyong never confirmed one motion or one conference. None of them. And all these judges and all these court administrators still went ahead and filed these motions. These people collectively ignored dozens of rules and laws that they were sworn to uphold. They refused to do that because of the incompetence, the ignorance, and the egotistical mindset. My complaint that I had sent to Katie Wood outlined all of the issues with this courthouse. Katie Wood, straight up, she should be fired. She should be fired just for how she handled my complaint. And I'm going to get into all of the correspondence with her. I'm going to be releasing that phone call that confirms she didn't give a damn. And she is protecting court services abuse, court services misconduct. Katie Wood is covering up Canada's most corrupted family court case in Canadian history, which is entangled in these court administrators accepting all these forms that were not properly filed or filled out. Who is Katie Wood? She is the Assistant Deputy Attorney General. What is her role and responsibilities? She is in charge of court services, responding to legal and public issues, ensuring that laws are carried out consistent across the province and country, ensuring that departments follow legislation and internal rules, handling complaints, how services are delivered, making high-level decisions on operational levels. She is supposed to ensure that the justice system operates fairly, efficiently, and within the law. This includes court admin and access to justice. Well, you guys are going to see the complaint that I filed with this Miss Wood here, and she didn't give two shits about what these court administrators did. In fact, she got behind them and said they did nothing wrong. You'll see at the end of the video, at the end of this correspondence, she sent me this psychotic email saying, oh, she did this thorough investigation and they did nothing wrong. Katie Wood needs to hear full public scrutiny about this case, Doug Downey, Sean Fraser, because at the end of the day, these three people are responsible for what happens in our courts. They are responsible for the hiring and they are responsible for the managing of the courts. Miss Katie Wood, she failed and refused to uphold her duties as an Assistant Deputy Attorney General. So I emailed Katie Wood originally on February 26, 2026, and it outlined specifically all the issues. I followed up on February the 2nd, 2026. Everything's of this year, of 2026. Katie Wood responds on March the 2nd, saying that she acknowledged the email. She'll look into it. I emailed her again. Excuse me. The same week and the following week, she responds on March the 9th. And she included 4 co-workers in her email. I responded to her on the 9th again saying, thank you. She says she's going to look into this. She's reassuring me that, she's going to do her job and she didn't do any of this. It was a complete waste of time. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to stop right there before I get in the rest of this. Katie Wood has confirmed to me how much corruption is running in the Attorney General's office. There are court administrators who are incompetent, who are taking direction from judges and prosecutors. They play dirty. They will do whatever it takes to win. This is all a numbers game about wins and losses. The more wins you have, the more success you have, the more you move up the ladder. The more you move up the ladder, the more you suck Canadians' tax dollars to bump up your salary. And that's all that happened in here. This is just, it's just insane what I went through with these court administrators, and now Katie Wood is getting behind these people and backing them up. I emailed Katie Wood for an update on the March 20th, 2026, and she got back to me on the 23rd of March. She admitted, so she sent me an email on March 23rd. In her email, okay, she sent me this fairly long email. In her email, she admitted that court clerks engaged in misconduct, that there were errors on their behalf. They didn't abide by the rules and laws, and that they made mistakes. But the way she worded it was in ways to protect her colleagues who engaged in serious misconduct. Katie Wood admitted in her email they did not abide by the rules. They made serious errors. Look, I got dragged through fucking family court with a woman I was never married with, never had children. I had no fucking legal business to ever be in family court. On top of that, it was on a restraining order application that was never fucking signed, and these court administrators accepted it. That vexatious litigant application, that fucking lunatic Jon David Ekpenyong sent me all those threatening, harassing, stalking emails that the fucking Halton Region Police, the Waterloo Region Police, a private prosecution, the Law Society, nobody would help me. That is unacceptable behavior from a fucking lawyer. And you got people that have the authority to hold them accountable, and they will not do it because of this fucking judge that assigned himself, that allocated himself to that family court case. Justice Michael Gibson. He already had a predetermined decision. And one day, I hope the public hears the audio recording, which I was surprised he sent me, after he fucking hammered me with that $60,000 court order, knowing they never paid it. And I really hope the public one day hears what happened what happened at that trial on February 7th and February 8th in 2024. My ex's witnesses, Mark Van Loven, Kim Bornerick, were caught lying. They were caught lying under oath. Ekpenyong submitted another affidavit that was commissioned and not signed, where he admitted that my ex only paid $7,000. Justice Gibson lost his fucking mind and snapped on Ekpenyong and said, I'm going to make note of this, blah, blah, blah. He didn't do nothing. That was all a fake. That was all a front. When Justice Gibson snapped on Ekpenyong submitting more documents that his client never signed and was commissioned, and the fucking court accepted that too, he snapped. So Justice Gibson knew that they paid $7,000, yet their local senior judge in that courthouse entertained a fraudulent fucking court cost of $160,000 for money that never exchanged hands and hours that were never worked. And what does that judge do? Orders me to pay $60,000. And get this judge was involved in my ex's high-profile divorce in Kitchener-Waterloo, where she was caught and she admitted from stealing $25,000 from her ex-husband on cash advances, and she used in all these cosmetic procedures. That fucking judge should have never even been on that trial, but he handpicked himself, and he had a predetermined outcome. And and all the rules and laws. When I brought all these issues up to Justice Gibson, he's like, very calmly, we're here now, we're going to deal with it. What the fuck is the point of having rules and laws if court administrators aren't going to abide by them, if judges aren't going to abide by them, and the fucking prosecutors are not going to uphold the criminal act? This is what I'm dealing with this courthouse. Bunch of funny business is going on in that courthouse, especially with these court administrators. And Katie Wood is responsible for all the shit that I went through. And basically, she protected them. She protected them with that psychotic email she sent to me on March 23rd, basically admitting that all of these people, they engaged in this bullshit. So she wrote that long psychotic, and then what happened was, hold on, here we go. So yeah, she wrote that long psychotic email. Sorry, she wrote a long, psychotic, confusing email to justify the abuse I endured from the Kitchener-Waterloo court services and court administrators, including court operation managers, Carrie Rice, Sarah Scott, Nancy Straczynski, who refused all my requests for those audio recordings from that other bogus, vexatious, rigged litigant proceeding before Justice Ian Smith. Salone French scheduled the trial. Assistant trial coordinator schedules a trial for that rigged family court proceeding without a trial schedule endorsement form. Ingrid accepted multiple forms late, not properly signed. What did she do? Tells me to take it up with the judge. So it's just nothing but bullshit dealing with this fucking government. In my experience, they just want to fucking keep doubling down on corruption and covering their asses and justifying misconduct. And that's just the honest truth. And the public should wake up and realize that our tax dollars are just getting wasted left, right, and center. So on March 24th, I emailed Katie Wood. Okay. I know I'm a little bit upset right now. I'm hopping all over the place, but we're going to get to this phone call with Katie Wood. And you guys are going to see just the type of shit that is happening behind closed doors at the Administrative Attorney General's office. And there needs to be accountability. There needs to be public scrutiny, and there needs to be a class action lawsuit. You hold these public government servants accountable for engaging in misconduct and abuse, or you keep doing this, you keep justifying this bad behavior, and something's got to give eventually, okay? On March 24, 2026, I emailed Katie Wood stating that she never directly answered the concerns in my complaint and I requested for a phone call for clarification for a few things. And I was surprised she agreed to that phone call. Unlike Armin Sethi, who dismissed Jon David Ekpenyong's and my ex's private prosecution, which was a complete waste of time. These two submitted over $325,000 in fraudulent court costs. They lied to several judges. Okay, what does Armin Sethi do? She stays the proceedings, sends me a really long psychotic email, and never answers any of my emails after that. So I was shocked. Okay, I was shocked that Katie Wood agreed to a phone call. So I got myself prepared. I had specific questions that I asked her. So the following day, Alexis schedules a call for March 27th at 2 p.m. And mind you, I have Robin Doolittle of the Globe and Mail and Robin Pierce, a senior writer of the Fifth Estate. They're included in all these emails. They know what's going on with all this stuff, and they are refusing to report on it. This is major government corruption. This is major abuse of our hard-earned tax dollars. And do not these investigative journalists have to report these kind of things? This situation seems like that whole thing with Justin Trudeau, where that lawyer reported this alleged child pornography to the Toronto Star, and they refused to report on it. I have been emailing every investigative journalist about all these things, all these issues, with compelling evidence, and every single one of them, including Robin Doolittle and Matthew Pierce, they refused to report on this government corruption, this major court services corruption. So that's going to have to be a whole nother conversation with all these investigative journalists that I've reached out to that refuse to report on what I've been going through. So Katie Wood and I spoke for 28 minutes. She confirmed that the court services admins mentioned in my complaint made errors. Excuse me. She tippy-toed around agreeing to their misconduct. She admitted she spoke to James Doobie, Director of Court at Operations, and Jessica Rose, who is a Kitchener-Waterloo Operations Supervisor. These two told Katie Wood that they did thorough checks with the court clerks and nothing was wrong. That is an absolute bold lie, and I don't even think they did anything. And I will be filing a request for the Freedom of Information to be finding out exactly what Katie Wood did in this investigation. And something which I'll probably get into, that application, that restraining order application that was commissioned and never signed, it should have had a deficiency letter with it. That trial schedule endorsement form that was never filed with the court, there should have been a deficiency letter with that. Even if there was, these things shouldn't have been scheduled. But Katie Wood, she was supposed to confirm to me whether those documents were included. And at the end of all this, she sloughed me off, which tells me they were not included. So Katie Wood, her refusing to uphold the duties of her job, her refusing to properly investigate this information, this is just getting started. There is going to be full public scrutiny on this situation until these people, these government public servants, do their job. That's all we're asking. This is all we're asking from members of the public. Do your fucking job. Okay? You want to get paid $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, and this is the shit that these public servants are doing to people? This is not okay. We're getting ripped off. We are getting ripped off left, right, and center. And people like Katie Wood are abling and embedding the abuse and the misconduct and the corruption in these court services by failing to properly investigate. So this James Doobie, this Rose, Jessica Rose, I don't think they looked into these issues properly. Because the restraining order application was not signed. It was submitted. The trial schedule endorsement form wasn't filled out, served and filed, yet I was still forced to go to a trial. The vexatious litigant application was left at my doorstep, not proper service. There was dozens of late filings. There was affidavits and applications that were either not signed or not commissioned, yet they were still accepted by these court clerks in the Kitchener-Waterloo courthouse. There were several procedural violations. And the thing is this, what the fuck is the point of having rules and laws if the same people that are sworn to uphold these rules and laws, they don't abide by them? There's no fucking point of having these rules, okay? This is what you call a kangaroo court. The Kitchener-Waterloo courthouse has demonstrated time and time and time again, judges, court administrators, prosecutors, especially with my experience, do not abide by the rules and laws. And us, the taxpayers, as suckers, we keep paying for this shit, man. This is not right. And there needs to be accountability, plain and simple. And Doug Downey and Sean Fraser need to answer to people like Katie Wood, Carrie Rice, Salone French, who got snotty with me when I told her, I remember there was that incident at the Kitchener-Waterloo courthouse. I asked her about this, about filing these forms. She got snotty with me and told me to go file a complaint with John Hornby, who works out of the Hamilton courthouse. I filed a complaint with him. He sloughed it off too. So we ended that phone call with Katie Wood supposed to be clarifying these things about these deficiency letters, about the audio recordings that Nancy Straczynski refused to release to me because it was a pending vexatious litigant decision with Justice Ian Smith, which was a complete joke. Justice Ian Smith was heard snickering, pretty much laughing. And my girlfriend was there as a witness when I asked Justice Ian Smith about that improper service with a fucking application left at my door. He was heard snickering. Katie Wood has proven she is protecting, Yeah, so Katie Wood was supposed to get back to me on clarifying about all these things that I just talked about. She never got back to me on any of these things. She didn't. She played games with me. She sloughed me off. She, like every other person I've dealt with, these complaint services, they pretend that they do something. They pretend they're working on these complaints. They don't do anything. Okay? Katie Wood has proven to me she is protecting court service corruption. She is protecting court clerks who engage in major misconduct. Okay? On April 7th, 2026, I emailed Katie Wood requesting for an update. April 10th, she responded, she's still reviewing the matter. April 16th, I emailed asking why is it so difficult to provide a simple yes or no answer to the deficiency notes that were included with the incorrect forms of the restraining order application and the trial schedule endorsement form that was missing, that the trial was still scheduled in the Kitchener family court. I needed a yes or no answer. She refused to provide that. She got back to me the same day instantly, and this was her response. She immediately says she reviewed the concerns, and we have concluded through a further review of the allegations I raised in our call and in emails dated on the 7th and the 10th of April, and after careful consideration, she is satisfied that all applicable policies and processes were followed. The gaslighting that this woman has done with me in this whole explain is fucking insane. To me, this type of handling, response from type to beginning, this just shows me what a lunatic Katie Wood is. And this is exactly the type of employees our government wants. You look at Robin McKay at the Canadian Judicial Council. The guy has dismissed probably 300 to 400 complaints in 3 years working for the Canadian Judicial Council. And let's not forget, Katie Wood got a $120,000 raise. From 2024 to 2025, she was making $200,000, and as of last year, she is making $325,000. She refuses to uphold the duties of her position. She has demonstrated she is supporting court service misconduct and corruption. And we're fucking paying for this? This woman does not deserve a dollar. If she's done this to me, she'll do this to anybody else. Okay? I have to drop this video because I want to share to the public this conversation I had with this woman, who to me is an absolute lunatic. On this phone call that you guys are going to hear, she admitted to all this, everything that I allege. She admitted to it pretty much. And half the time, she didn't even do anything. When I was asking her questions, sometimes she didn't even know the answers to. That tells me she did not do a proper or thorough investigation into the allegations I raised. This is absolutely insane. That this is what is happening behind the closed doors over at the Attorney General's office. You got people making $325,000 a year that are refusing to do their basic duties. These people are entitled. They are confused. They think they work for a corporation when they are forgetting they are working for us, the taxpayers. We are forking over $325,000 a year to a woman who is protecting court services corruption. And when you guys hear this phone call, you're not going to believe what happened. I am so frustrated. I'm upset that this is happening. All these so-called investigative journalists who have the duty to report these type of stories are refusing to do it. The CBC News, the CTV News, Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, the Toronto Sun, all these other investigative journalists, Hamilton Spectator, you got all these YouTubers that, no one wants, you know what I mean? It's in fucking insane. This is a slam dunk for an investigative journalist. This is a slam dunk for a constitutional and charter right lawyer. But the problem is this Law Society of Ontario. Judges, prosecutors, lawyers, attorney general, crown, they're all the same society. So they protect one another. We're dealing with a two-tier justice system. And this is more compelling evidence of that. So I'm going to be dropping a second video with all these emails and everything that I've dealt with, but I want to drop this raw video for you guys to see, because I'm dropping this audio recording, this telephone conversation I had with Katie Wood, and you guys can be the judge. Because clearly the public has lost complete trust in our justice system, and we can't trust judges to make decisions anymore. Because when they do, they protect one another. Prosecutors will stay charges all the time when it comes to one of their own. And I'm waiting to hear back from the Freedom of Information that this Deputy Crown Attorney, Armin Sethi, allegedly, she was the one who withdrew the sexual assault charges against disgraced former judge Paul Curry. So I'm waiting to get confirmation which Crown Attorney dropped those charges when they had clear, compelling evidence of that judge's misconduct, of that sexual misconduct. So the Attorney General's office, I'm so disappointed in. They've proven to me again, you can't trust them. They're an absolute waste of Canadians' tax dollars. They are not servicing Canadians. They are taken from Canadians. Let's not forget that the Attorney General's office took $2.1 billion last year for their budget for shit like this. For the tribunals, the judges, the prosecutors, the court administrators who engaged in all this misconduct and corruption. We're paying for this. And they do not want these type of experiences to go out to the public. And even when they do, nobody talks about it. So this is my life. This is another event that happened in my life. I want to thank everyone that has watched this video, that has supported the channel, that isn't chicken shit to share my story, because I got nothing to gain to mislead or lie to the public. This government needs to respectfully smarten up and tighten up and stop allowing this bullshit to continue on our dime. This is not right. So check out this phone call that's coming up, man. You know what? Thank you guys. Another video from Let's Talk About It. I'm going to leave the video right there.